Hey guys, it's Andrew here, and today we're going to be making this particle brush. This particle brush is just a particle system where all of the particles have a lifespan. When the lifespan is over, they die out and disappear. And what you can do is you can use your mouse and click on it to reset certain portions of the particle system. It's really fun. You get to customize the paintbrush with the color um, with any gradient you'd like. And yeah, if you would like to download this project file fully annotated, you can get it on our Discord in the description below for free. And yeah, let's get started, shall we? Okay, so to start, what we're gonna do is we're going to right click and drag to delete everything in our network, like so. Then I'm going to close this palette so I have more room to work with. And I'm going to double click on my network to get a texture operator, this blue tab right here. And we're just going to look for a ramp right here. From there, what I want to do is I want to go into my common tab and I want to change my pixel format into 32-bit float RGBA. From there, I'm going to grab the middle notch right here to grab this wire, and I'm going to press Tab to open up the Create dialog, Command on Mac. Then I'm going to grab a flip, and with this flip, I want to go into my flop, and I want to do bottom left, like so. From there, from my ramp 1, I want to press Tab again and get a reorder, like so. From there, I want to have my ramp one in the first input, and I want my flip one to go into my second input. So they're side by side like that. Then in my reorder parameters, I want to go in and change my output green to be input 2. And I also want to change my output blue to be 0, like so. From there, I'm going to grab another wire from the output notch, press tab, and get a null. This null doesn't do anything, but what we can do is we can click here and rename this to be source. And this is going to be our starting positions for our particles. From there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a feedback loop. So this is a feedback. And with this feedback top, I want to go into the common tab and I want to change this pixel format to be 32-bit float RG. Then I want to go back into the feedback tab and I want to be able to control this pulse button with a keyboard. So what can I do? Well, I'm going to press and open up my create dialog again, go into chops, and I want to find the keyboard in, which is right here. Then with the keyboard in, I can turn on this viewer active in the bottom right. And what that allows me to do is to drag this value outside, and you'll see it as an arrow. And we're going to hover that over our feedback one, and then we're going to bring it to our pulse and drop it. Then it's going to bring up this drop down menu, and we're just going to select chop reference, like so. Now, every single time we press the 1 key, we are resetting our feedback. Right now, it's not doing anything because we have nothing going on with our feedback. But we can change that by building the particle system next. So from this feedback, I'm going to grab another wire and I'm going to grab a noise. And the noise is right here. And this noise, what we want to do is we want the first input to be from our feedback, but we also want the second input to be from our feedback. From there, in our parameters, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my period to be 2, my harmonics to be 10. I want my offset to be 0, and I want monochrome off. And then what I can do is in my output tab, I'm going to change the RGB to be from input plus noise to just noise, like so. From there, what I can do is I can chain a wire from my noise and add a math. And math is right here, like so. With this math, what I can do is I can go into the multi-add tab, and in my multiply, I'm gonna type in 1 divided by 500, like so. And that should make this turn black, which is fine. It just means that the values are super small. From there, I'm going to go back to my feedback and add another wire. And I'm just going to grab a add top, first one right there. And I want my first wire to be going into my add first input, and I want my math one to be going into the second input, like so. And from there, I'm going to chain another null, and I'm going to call this particle position, like so. And then from this particle position, I'm going to click, drag, and then I'm going to bring it all the way on top of the feedback, like so. And now what you can see is there's a bit of a transformation going on right now. We can reset to see it happen again by pressing 1. And if I turn on this viewer active on the bottom right corner, so that it just is the viewer, I can right click view as points, and you'll see what is happening. We can then go and click off onto the network. Oh, and then press 1 again, and you'll see that our particles are moving. I'm going to turn off this particle viewer by right clicking and then pressing view as image. And then I'm going to turn on the viewer active, or turn off the viewer active, like so. And the reason why we're doing that is now I'm going to move my network a bit more over. I'm going to use this particle position to instance some triangles. And the way that we do that is we're going to pull up our create dialog again by pressing tab. And I'm going to go into the light blue tab. And I'm going to grab a circle, a circle saw, this blue one right here. And in this circle parameters, I'm going to change my divisions to be 3. From there, I'm going to chain a wire into a transform, which is down here. And with this transform, I'm going to go into my uniform scale right here, and I'm going to type in 0.004, like so. Now, from there, I'm going to add a null. And I'm going to grab this wire, and I'm going to press tab, and I'm going to go into comp. And in comp, I'm going to grab a geometry, and you should have something like this, where the null is going into this outline of a box. And then you're going to press again to place it. And from there, what we can do as well is we could do another comp, which is the camera comp right here, as well as a material operator in the yellow tab, which is the constant. With the constant, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it again, put it over by Geo1, and then click on harm material. From there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press tab again, go into my purple tab called top, and we're going to look for render right here. And this will basically connect our camera and our geo and render it out as an image. We can go into the common tab, and from this common tab of a render, we're going to change our resolution to be from 1280 720 to 1080 by 1080, just like so. So it's square. From there, I'm going to grab a null, and I'm going to rename this to BG, like so. Perfect. I'm going to zoom out a bit so I can get my particle position node in view. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Geo 1, and I'm going to go into the first instance tab right here. There's 3 of them, but we're going to go into the first one because that's where we're going to turn on instancing. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab our particle position by clicking and dragging. We're just going to click and hold so we can move it around like so. And we're going to put it onto our translate OP parameter right here. And then in our translate X and our translate Y, I'm just going to be typing, or I'm going to go down here, this little arrow, and I'm going to select R. And I'm also going to select G, like so. Now that we have that down, if I zoom in a bit here and press 1, you'll see that there's a little render out here, but it's not very centered. We kind of want it like this. So what we have to do is we have to click on this camera geo, and we want to change how the camera is viewing our scene. So we click on view, and in projection, we're going to do, we're going to do orthographic. We're going to do bottom left or ortho origin, and then ortho width, we're going to be at 1, like so. And just like that, we have our particle simulator, like so. Okay, so now that we have this view, I want to be able to view my particle simulator anywhere in my network. If I move away, then I don't get to see it anymore. And so what I can do is I'm actually going to press U to leave my project, or I can press I to go back in, but U to step out. I can also scroll outwards to leave the project. But once we're here, what I want to do is I want to go into the layout tab, and I want to make sure that my width and height are matching my render resolution. And so what we can do is we can do the width to be 1080 and our height to also be 1080, like so. Then in my look, what I'm going to type instead of out1 is I want to type ./bg. Oh, bg lowercase. So, and now, as you can see, we have our particle system, like so. And so now we can zoom in to go back into our project, or we can click on our project and then press I. And from there, to be able to see it all the time, what I want to do is I want to press this split window pane option in our pane layout. And I just want to do 2 rectangles like that. And now we should get 2 identical network viewers. And so what we want to do with this one is we actually want to change it into a panel instead of a network editor. So that's going to be right here. And now if I press 1, no matter where I am in my network, I will always be able to see my particles. The thing is that this is a bit big. So I'm going to go and minimize it by dragging this and putting it right here. That's a good size, like so. Okay, so now that we have that done, what we're going to do next is we're going to build the brush. And the brush is going to be controlled by where our mouse is on our panel. So what we want to do is we want to go into our chops, and we're going to look for our panel chop right here. And in this panel chop, I'm going to delete that star and I'm going to type in three things. True U, true B, and L select in that order. And that isolates our three values that we're going to be using. And I'm going to rename them by typing in X, Y, and click. And now you see that we have our X and our Y, and then we also have a click like so, which is super convenient. I'm then going to chain a wire again, and I'm going to click on a null, and I'm just going to call this mouse data like so. And so now we have our mouse data and our click data all in one chop. Now what I want to do is I want to build this. So I'm going to zoom out a bit. I want to build it above my feedback loop for my particle system. So I'm going to right click, drag all of this mouse data, move it up here. And from there, what I can do is I can continue on with my next step. So I'm going to grab my source. And the way I can do that is I basically want to duplicate it. And we can do that with our select top right here. This select top, we can drag our source. We can click, hold, and drag. And we're just going to put it on top of our select one, just like that. You'll see a little arrow going from our source to our select. From there, I want to chain a rectangle. A rectangle right here. And in my output, you see right now, it's comping like this, which is not ideal. What we want is we want to go into our output tab and we want to do set resolution only. So we just have that rectangle. Now with that rectangle, we can go back into our rectangle tab. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste these four parameters. So before we do that, in our size and in our center, we want to change the letter to be pixels, P. And same with this one, P. So both our size and our center now have pixels as the unit of measurement. From there, I'm going to copy and paste a few things. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to paste my op.select1.width, and these will be in the description, so just go by order. The next thing that we want to do is we want to copy and paste our height, like so. Next thing that I want to do is in my center, I want to copy and paste this. And in my center Y, I want to copy and paste this. And so these four will be in the description of the YouTube channel. And the next thing that we want to do is we also want to make sure that our justify horizontal and our justify vertical is left and bottom, like so. And now you'll see that when I have this brush, or when I move this mouse, the rectangle moves accordingly. And we're going to use that to reset our brush. And the way that we can do that is with a matte top. And so what we're going to do is I'm actually going to right click and select these four, and I'm going to move them a bit closer to my source. Let's do it like just above, like so. Okay, so now from there, with this source, I'm going to grab another chain, and I'm going to grab the matte top like so, and put it right next to the rectangle. So the source wire should go into my first input of my matte top. And then I'm also going to change the matte channel to be red, like so. Then I'm going to insert my rectangle into my first and my second. And like that, we can see that instead of a rectangle, we get this greenish yellow color. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to grab an overtop like this. And I'm going to grab my feedback wire, and I'm going to put it in the second input of my overtop. And then I'm going to grab this wire and I'm going to put it into my wire that's going between my feedback and into my amp, like so. And now we have this brush, but there's a bit of pixels that are kind of flying around where we don't want it to be. And the way that we can fix that is by going back into the rectangle, and we want to turn off anti-alias, just like so. And now our brush works as how we want it to work. Now the only other issue is that, okay, well, the brush is always active, and we only want it to be active when we are clicking. And so what we can do is we can turn on the viewer active for our mouse data, like right up here, and we can drag this click, drag, have this arrow, and put that arrow right above the fill alpha and do a chop reference. And now, whenever we click, we get our brush. And to make this a bit bigger so we can see what's going on, just like that. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that our particles die off so that these particles over here are like, we can't see them anymore. And so the way that we can do that is by making a lifespan for them. And the way that we can do that is just with our brush right here. And so what we're going to need to do is I'm going to drag this down a bit, and I'm going to grab another select top. I'm going to grab my brush like so. Okay. Now I'm going to zoom in a bit more. And what I want to do is I want to go into my dialogues, or I can press Control B or Command B, I believe, on my Mac, or I can go into my dialogues and look for a palette browser up here. And what we want to do is we want to go into the image filters under derivative. And in my image filter, if I go down, there's a bunch of different components, but what I want is I want my feedback. And so what I can do is I can click, drag, and get this arrow and pull it out into my network. I don't want that wire to be going into my feedback. What I want to go in is my rectangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this wire like so. From there, there's an opacity option. And what the feedback does is it essentially gives me a trail like so. And with this trail, well, first of all, this thing is fading a bit too fast. So I'm going to change this opacity to be 0.99. Like so. I also want my keyboard to reset, my keyboard 1 to reset my opacity. I'm going to grab my keyboard in, I'm going to drag it so I get that arrow again and put it on top of my reset button, this little box right here. And I'm going to click on chop reference again. And so now when I press 1, not only does my particle reset, but my opacity also resets. Or my feedback of my opacity resets. From there, what I can do is I can grab another null, just like so. And I'm going to call this particle scale. And now what I can do is I can just grab this node, drag it, right above my particle position. And I'm going to click on my geo. I'm going to drag this particle scale onto my scale operator in my instancing tab right here. And I'm just going to do R and R like so. You can also click from here. So now our screen goes blank, but our brush now dies out like so. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to color our brush. And the way that we can do that is we can download this component right here. And it'll be linked in the description as well. And once you download it, you'll find it in a folder. Wherever you found it in your folder, all you have to do is essentially, well, mine's in my palette, but if it's in a folder, all you have to do, like pretend that this is my folder, all we have to do is we just drag it and drop it into our network, like so. Now, with this palette in our network, what we can do is we can click on the viewer active and choose from any of these colors. I'm going to choose this one right here. And from there, I can, says right here, drag me to your network. So I'm just gonna drag it and drop it like so. Now with that done, I can just delete it. You can keep it, but it kind of is in the way. So, you know, I like to just delete it and bring it back when it's necessary. But, and with that palette, what I can do is from this feedback, I'm going to get a lookup top like so. And I'm going to drag this palette drop into the second channel like so. And now we can use this by chaining a null. We can use this to be our particle color. And with that, we're going to go into our geo again. And we're going to go into now the second instance tab of our geo. I'm going to scroll down a bit until we find our color operator. And with our color operator, we just have to do particle color, and we're just going to do R, G, and B. And now we have our particle simulator. And there we have it. If you would like to get this file annotated, feel free to check out the Discord in the link below. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.